Brandon in Sorrento, Florida. Hey, Brandon, what's up?
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Good. To
expand on what your guest was talking about, I did vote for Trump, and I am a conservative, more of a constitutional conservative, and I do obviously have liberal friends, and I find that when we do sit down and have a talk, we try to remain calm, and I find that a lot of us, we actually come to agreements that we all want the same thing. For example, we all support education. We all support clean water and the environment, especially here in Florida. But I think I think my liberal friends finally understand is that I don't agree. It's more so whose responsibility is it, and that's kind of where we there's a fork in the road. And I argue to them. I said I vote for someone like Trump so they can nominate, Scalia-type Supreme Court justices, because I don't feel like education, the federal government has that authority after we get the state right. So I think that's where the biggest difference is. Like, for example, healthcare. I tell them, I said, look, I don't care if the state of Florida passes healthcare. I don't mind people having healthcare. If California wants healthcare, go ahead and pass healthcare. But it's not the role of the federal government, and that's to me. And once they understand that, then we kind of.
Why do you think it's not the role of the federal government, Brandon?
Because it's not one of the enumerated powers in Article 1, Section 8.
Really?
So government cannot spend money. The things that Congress can spend money on is clearly defined in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. And if, for example, education, the Constitution does not give the federal government that authority. Healthcare.
Okay, hang on just a second. Article 1, Section 8 opens with Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. And then it ends, we're still Article 1, Section 8, to make all laws necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all other powers vested in this Constitution, the government of the United States, or any department or officer thereof. In other words, it's not just limited to these 18 items, but how is the general welfare of the United States not affected by people being sick, particularly in an era where you have biological, terrorism, and you've got diseases that can, just massively kill people, whether it's a mutated flu or whether it's Ebola? How is general welfare, which is in the enumerated powers clause of the Constitution that you so love, how is that not fulfilled by having a national health care system?
So this is where I think you're wrong, and that is so basically you're saying the general welfare clause is an open-ended clause.
Yes, I am.
And if that was the case, your enumerated powers would not need to be there. So those enumerated powers are kind of they make your logic flawed in a sense. You wouldn't need those. No,
because it doesn't say these are the only powers that the Congress has. It doesn't say that. It says the exact opposite, and anything else necessary to protect the general welfare of the people. What you have to have is not a constitution. You've got to have a consensus. When the majority of Americans agree that having Social Security is meeting the general welfare of the people, then you have Social Security. When the majority of Americans say, no, Social Security doesn't meet the needs of the people, then you don't have Social Security.
Okay, then, so you're saying Congress has ultimate discretion on whatever they want to do.
No, I'm saying that the people have ultimate discretion, and if they don't like what Congress is doing, they vote them out.
So if Congress wants to intern Americans, is that constitutional at that time?
No, that's specifically prohibited by, it's specifically prohibited by the habeas corpus provision in the Constitution. But you're changing the subject, Brandon. I'm saying, I don't see what's conservative about saying that because it doesn't say health care in the Constitution, government can't do that. It doesn't say that you have public roads in the Constitution. Well, I guess it says postal roads in Article 1, Section 8, but that's not public roads. That's just postal roads. We collectively pay for fire departments to take care of our houses when they catch on fire. Why wouldn't we collectively pay for health care? It'll save us all a fortune, and it'll make our society healthier. What rational person would be opposed to that, Brandon?
Tom, why did they amend the Constitution to ban liquor? If they could have just done it, for the general welfare of the public, why did they go through the amendment process?
That's a good question. I'm guessing because they didn't think that. They didn't think that. No, there's no gotcha here. It's my point, my earlier point, that you have to have the public support. They had to get 2/3 of Congress and 3/4 of the states to say we're going to ban liquor. Now there was a big crisis, and I'm guessing you're familiar with this, back in the 1920s, where the 10:30 coffee break in the morning was actually a whiskey break. And a lot of people were dying in factories and dying afterwards and coming home and beating up their families. I mean, it was a real crisis, alcoholism in this country at that point in time. But we've succeeded in wandering off field. Brandon, thanks.